Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It's Tuesday. You know what time it is. It is Ashmatic's analysis. Ash, are you well?
I'm good, bro. And long time, my brother. Long time. How are you keeping? Is everything all right?
I am back. I'm back to streaming. I will be back permanently now. Just a few weeks off trying to recover from an illness, but I am back. Been missing the shows, been watching them, and hope everybody is well in the chat as well. But as always, it's about our guests. Oh, hold on. Before we get to our guest, Before we get to our guest,
go on.
Big announcement. Where are you tomorrow?
Oh, is that what we're doing, yeah?
Yeah, because I'm not going to be here for this long today because I've got to leave, be out in the next 45 minutes and leave it to you and the guests. But let the people know where you're going to be tomorrow so they are aware.
So people, make sure you guys follow me and show some support. I'm going to be on or being invited on Last Word on Spurs. So yeah, guys, if you could support, show some love. I'll be on there tomorrow from 8:30 p.m. So I mean, if you're not busy, just pop in, and just show in the comments love. You've been a part of my journey as well, guys. A massive part of my journey. So it'll be good to see some of you guys in there. And that's it, really. We move, man.
We move. Let's get to the show. So let's welcome the guests. First of all, a big welcome to a favorite on the show who's always been on the channel. Tups, are you well?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate you, Ash. Appreciate you, Marlon. How you guys doing? You all right?
All good. Hope you are well. Next one, making his debut on Spurs Kings TV. Jose, are you well from Talk and Ball?
Jose from El Tel Cockerel, co-host El Tel Cockerel, co-host of Talk and Ball.
Yes, tell him again. Hey, I love it. Go on.
Another what?
I said, tell him again. Tell
the people where you're from.
I can't say enough. I mean, I don't think you can top the introduction that we just had for Ashmatic. Last Word on Spurs. It's just like, really, what am I doing here?
Don't do that, man.
No, I'm well, thank you, chaps. It's a pleasure for having me on, and good evening to all three of you.
And last but not least,
four of us. How are we doing, boys?
There he is, Jay.
Yeah.
Are you well, my son? Are you
I'm
well?
good.
Long
I'm good.
time no see.
I know it's been a hot second. I have to do some analysis before I come on these analysis type shows. Half the time it's just agendery banter. So I have to pretend I know something about football and remark that I have some idea about tactics. But other than that, I'm well.
No worries. So Ash, let's get straight into it. Yes. Crystal Palace.
Yes.
Why Spurs only turning up for 10 minutes in games at the moment?
I think you have to have some context. Now, it's the whole back three situation. We've been struggling over the season. I know the first 10 games, everyone's like, oh my days, first 10 games, we were amazing, etc., etc. But I think we didn't really play too many your typical low block teams that can do the low block very well. And what I mean by that is a lot of teams didn't know what to expect from Spurs. We had a new manager, expectation was slightly different. And this whole inversion thing, we've seen it from Man City. Other clubs have done it like Liverpool and Arsenal, but not quite the way we had done it. And even us fans, we didn't know what to expect from your doggy and even Porro playing as a fullback. We're like, no, Porro's a wing back, rare tear. Now they've inverted. We've got two wing backs inverting and not inverting in midfield, like as in DMs. They're actually inverting as attacking midfielders in the pockets, in the half space as 10s. So you've got two players darting off, running in behind, causing chaos. People are like, what the hell was going on? This is Ange ball, blah, 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 blah. So the first 10 games, they didn't know how to handle us, what we were doing. They were trying to figure it out. And by then it was too late because we used to start really, really fast because of it. And the players had loved the football. This the style of play. It was exciting. It was fresh. It was energetic. Coming back from low block defensive playing, now all of a sudden we're playing more front footed and the energy was different. The players liked it. They understood the tactics. and it just exploded onto the scene with new faces such as Madison, etc., etc. Fast forward to now, I think like these back threes, what teams are doing, they're sitting back, and they're frustrating the hell out of us because we want to get in behind, we want to run in behind the space, but when they haven't got the ball, they're sitting back and they're frustrating us at times. And it's only when, like, for example, Palace scored or they went on attack, then the line pushed slightly higher up, and that's when we could, exploit the line. In my opinion, from what I saw, um, that's what I see. Anyway, that's what I thought.
Jose, I'm coming to you next. Why is it? The last let's be honest. When our team all came back, right, and we had all these injuries, starting to slowly ease back, all of us Spurs fans were excited, right? And like January, we can use as an excuse because we had people away, but then we've suddenly got everyone back in February going into March, and it seems to be we can only turn it on for 10 minutes. And apart from Wolves, where we didn't turn it on, all the other games, it's been 10 minutes here where we've scored goals, but we've had all the possession and done nothing with it elsewhere. Why 10 minutes? What is going on right now with Spurs?
I think that's a bit unfair because we might have scored the goals in 10 minutes, but the groundwork that we've laid in place to get them goals in them 10 minutes, I think goes unnoticed. I did a watch along for the game against Palace. It's the first time I've ever done a watch along because I'd rather just watch football just on my own so I can look and view my own. But I did the watch along, and the stream that was shared with me to watch the game on, because obviously it went on English television, was actually really good camera angles. And from the camera angles, I could see green shoots. Even in the first half, I could see what we were doing. I could see how build-up play. I could see how we were trying to draw them out, and we were trying to find pockets and find holes. I could see it all in the first half. And I commented at half-time on the watch-along, because I had loads of people in the chat saying, oh, this is boring, low-block teams. We can't do this. We can't do that. And I was saying, look, guys, I've seen what they're trying to do and stuff like that. And in the second half, it will work out for us. I say to people as well, I watched the Man City Brentford game, right? And I watched Brentford play low block for 70 minutes. It was a mistake on the edge of the box when they were in possession that led to two passes. Haaland scores, they win 1-0, right? But after that goal was scored, so when they got that goal, then Brentford came out, and then Doku came on, and then pockets began to appear. Exactly the same happens with us as well, and I watched us against Palace, and then I watched Man City versus Man United the following day, right? And I saw them being frustrated by a low block again for the similar period of time. So it's something that you've got to work at. Us playing the horseshoe effect, we do it, Man City do it, but because it's Man City, it's allowed. Because it's us, the fans go mad about it.
Do you think it's that? Just a quick thing on that, because the one thing that I think frustrated everyone in the first half is, I agree with what you're saying, but the only thing that frustrated everyone was that we had one shot on target and 2 shots on goal. Now, when you look at Man City's when they're doing this, right, and I think you've alluded to a couple of games there where, especially against Man United, yes, they may not have been hitting the low block, but they were still having shots on goal. And they missed a couple good sitters in the first half, so they were still doing it. So, are you saying, is it down to the personnel that we've got on the pitch, or is it a case of we're just taking a bit more time in what we're doing because we don't have the quality yet?
It can be a mixture, but also we don't take shots, which is part of playing against the low blocks. You've got to take your chances and take the shot. Yeah. We took a shot on Saturday. I think it might have been Madison. We took a shot, and it went sky high. And
Bentancur.
Bentancur. And I actually, on the watch along, I actually applauded it, and I turned around and said, that's what you got to do. I don't care if it's gone 30 yards above the bar. That's what you need to do. Yeah. So, as I said, I see green shoots. It could be a multitude of a lot of things. But then I turn around and I look at it, and I look at all the games, and I did this because of Ash. I just went back and looked at all the scores and all the games that we've played this season. And, who was the last team that didn't low block us, home or away? It was Man City. Man City when we drew 3-3 against them. They're the last team, home or away. Even teams at home, and we're the away side, they low block us away from home as well. So, you know,
But do you think they do that? That's a great thing, though. Do you think they do that because they know we can't break it down?
I think it's a mixture of they do that because I think it's actually because if you watch us when we did start fast in the first 10 games and that, I think people are wary that if you allow Tottenham to start fast, then we could start appearing to be the same team that we were back at the earlier part of the season. I just think it's a bit of it's a variables. It's a bit of a mixture of a lot of things, in my opinion. That is.
Tops, I'll bring you in. Obviously you've heard Jose's point there, right? What's your feature on this 10-minute spells? Are you the same or are you completely different?
I think Palace set up really well. I think Glasner did his research for 77 minutes. They set up in a 3-4-3 with a true defensive double pivot to try and just stifle us, force everything central, which I thought they did really well. We were not very quick at all. We didn't actually exploit any spaces, and our tempo was extremely slow build up. Honestly, even outside of their goal, I think for about 70 minutes, their setup was fine. I think one thing about Ange is that he doesn't mind suffering. And when I say suffering, he doesn't mind enduring a little bit of a frustrating period in matches where he wants to really just hit home and hit hard to the philosophy or the style that he wants to play. And I honestly feel that he was happy to do so because he felt that if there was going to be a chance that we could break through them, it would be one chink in their armour. And unfortunately, up to that 70th or 77th minute, it didn't happen. And really, in the end, it was a change of personnel, a change of tempo, which opened the game up. And to be honest with you, once the game was open after that first goal, it looked a lot more frantic, a lot more open, in which Palace really kind of crazily went away from everything that they had done pretty well in that first 77 minutes. Lots of spaces opened up. We started to exploit a lot of areas in the flanks. We were moving the ball a lot quicker than we were, which obviously was, again, due to having players who were a lot fresher as well. And in the end, 13 minutes of madness is what got us the result. I can't imagine he would be amazingly happy at that performance, but it's 3 points that we didn't have before Saturday.
Jay, bring you in on it. Unmute yourself.
Hello.
So, what's your thoughts on this 10 minutes? Are you with Jose?
No. What's all this 10-minute thing?
Because the reason why the question's been asked is because the first 45 minutes, no matter how much you try and break them down, right, and I'm going to take Manchester City game into play, and I'm going to take some of the other games that we've had. We're not having enough shots. When we're having the ball, but if you're not having shots and doing stuff, what are you actually doing?
Okay, but look at it like this, right?
Yeah.
If a dam breaks, it's not because of the water pressure that's been exerted for the last 30 seconds. It's because of the pressure that's been exerted for a prolonged period of time. So when people say the 10-minute thing to me, I look at it a little bit more holistically. So
but the question is, I know what you're going to say, but the next question is why? But you've just said no, because you've just asked that. You've just said, Jay, you're doing all that work. So what happened against Wolves? Why is it?
Okay, so what you have? Okay, so look at this, right? Yeah. Wolves and Palace. First of all, Wolves played better than Palace did. Yeah, so Wolves implemented their plan better than Palace did. They had more available fit players that could cause us damage. And also stylistically, in terms of the profiles of players, in my opinion, that they have, that's the profiles that would get us. If you look at how you break a low block, in my opinion, and I saw someone say this again, 3 main ways, 1, high quality crossing, 2, dribble past your man, 3, long shots. So
the reason why I'm laughing because those 3 things we definitely didn't do.
But that's why.
Yeah, I get what you mean because there's
that's the exact reason why Spurs find it difficult against low blocks.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Because first of all, you look at missing Porro, so the crossing impact is impacted, and also Son's not a fabulous header of the ball. So you then have okay, that's not how we're gonna score this goal. But we score the goal from a high quality cross and Romero being in the box. Yeah.
Yep.
So thus illustrating once again how you break low blocks. The movement of the ball and the passing is too slow in the first half. But by the same token, you have to credit Palace for their ability to close the passing lanes and make it difficult for the players to exert the plan that they want to do. So to me, when people say, okay, it's just in 10 minutes and things like that, true, but the concentration level required by these players at the highest level to keep you out, they might slip. They're gonna, their attention's gonna fall off. I see Everton, when City went to Everton away earlier in the season, yeah, it was an absolute banger from Foden that got them in front. It got them level in that game. They were 1-0 down. And it was a long-range goal from Foden that got them back in the game. So I look at it more from the point of view of saying that the team and what the team's trying to achieve and how we're looking to play, we're not just going to have it all our own way. The opposition is going to have a say. We don't exist in a vacuum. I think we're learning to break down these kind of teams, and it'll come more. I don't think it's just 10 minutes. I think we played well for longer than that.
Yeah, well, the reason why it's 10 minutes is because that's when it seems to be a period of 10 minutes when we're scoring our goals and breaking them down. So that's the reason why. Like, same thing happened against Brentford, same thing Everton. Yeah. It just seems to be in a 10-minute period.
But what you're saying is, though, teams that have a high quality low block, we're struggling with 6-7 months into our first season adopting a new process, which to me is absolutely normal, to be expected. Nothing to see here. Like, if we're still playing like this in a year's time, then I'll be concerned. But at this moment in time, playing against Frank, Dyche, O'Neill, mid-low blocks, high-quality players on the break, solid formations, why wouldn't we find it difficult? Who are we? Who are we to not find it difficult against these teams? Teams with better patterns of play and more focused systems are finding it difficult to break these teams down sometimes. So who are we?
Ash?
Who are we? Who are we? No, it's true. It's a fair point. And just to add to it, I thought in the first half we were trying to find ways to kind of open up Palace. But yeah, I agree with most fans. We were slow and trying to figure it out. We didn't really get, in terms of like being a little bit more direct. I think sometimes we can play those balls over the top when there are opportunities to do that. So what I mean by that, sometimes Palace did find a break through a Mateta, and that's when actually we need to 2 or 3 passes into feet, and then we need to go sometimes direct into Son, because there is space in behind. Because there were times where they weren't always low blocked. At times they were pressing us high up, and that was a tactic from Glasner that I realized that actually, like, he's a little bit different from Hodgson. He's not going to just allow you that all that time on the ball. He's going to try and press you, and that's when Spurs actually, we need to wake up. And then also, just to add on to that, talking on the midfielders, I know Maddison, he likes to drop deep and he tries to get onto things and to make things happen. I just wanted to see a little bit more risk from your Basumas and your Bentancurs. They can both carry the ball, they can both dribble. And so I think with Bentancur's skill set, he can do those passes, just like Maddison's trying to open up teams. And I think with Basuma, I feel like if he hasn't got that passing range, he can drop the shoulder at times and he can carry the ball, whilst maybe someone else falls into the 6, because the 3 midfielders, they're meant to be interchangeable. So when Maddison's in the 6, then I expect someone else to be in an 8 position, or Son to go into the 10 position, or vice versa. They're meant to move around, and that's what kind of pulls players out of position, and that's what creates gaps. And that's why I think we lacked slightly. I think Werner was on the left, but he didn't interchange as well with like your Sons and maybe your Doggies, like making a triangle, because that's positional play where the 3 players all move in tandem, and that's what opens up these teams. I think also we don't drag teams to one side, 2-3 passes and then switch a play. We're like one of the lowest teams, in my opinion, for switches of play, and that's where you can open up a team. Just to add on to the shot, everyone's talking about the shots already. Just to add on to that, and the crosses, obviously, crosses are a problem from us. Because at the start of the season, you did see Doggy get to the byline, do the cutback. Sometimes it was Madison, get to the byline, do the cutback. And sometimes Son, get to the byline, do the cutback. And then that person's entering that 6-yard box and they're able to finish. So I think for me, that's one of the problems. But I'll let anyone else chime in wherever we want. Anyone else?
Yeah, Jose.
I think like I said, I thought the build-up play in the first, I could see what we were trying to do. So to me, when you're saying the 10-minute thing, the 10-minute thing, yeah, because we scored the goals, and I understand that. But I think there's a lot more that happened before we got to the goals. Regardless of that, what I will say is the trust in the team, right? When in the first 10 games, we had pure trust in the team because we had a back five that played, right, regularly together.
Yeah.
And there was trust from the rest of the team to the defenders. The defenders trusted what was in front of them in midfield, and then the forwards were trusted what they had in defence and in midfield. And that's what happened. That's why we played so well, or we gelled better in the first 10 games. Now, because of all these variables of the injuries, the suspensions, your AFCONs, your Asia Cups and that, we haven't got that, and we're trying to build that again. And I would say that regardless whether we like it or not, the team that we had playing Saturday, I think the fact, and he didn't play badly, by the way, but the fact that we had Royale playing and not Porro, kind of, and he didn't do badly, by the way, but because we had him, I think the lack of trust probably dropped a little bit from the midfielders to the defence. But if Porro's playing this weekend, and he comes back into the team, there may be a bit more trust. But what we've got to understand as well is that now Porro is returning from an injury. So therefore he's got to play himself back up to speed and stuff like that as well. But for me, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. At the end of the day, yes, as fans, we get frustrated about the way we go about matches, about the way that we win games, possibly. At the end of the day, we had a poor November because of all the injuries and everything, and we lost and we didn't win a game in November. But since then, even without having all these injured players and suspensions, AFCONs and Asia Cups, what have we lost since then? Another 2 games?
Yeah.
Something like that. We haven't lost that many games. Do you know what I mean? So
we haven't lost many games, right?
Yeah, we haven't lost many games. The football may not be as pretty as the first 10 games. We might not be gelling like we did the first 10 games.
Isaac, do you think that's the problem? Do you think that's the problem why the fan base is literally because, first 10 games we were playing beautiful stuff. Even with those injuries, yeah, let's be all completely honest, we were playing beautiful football, even with those injuries at points. And then all of a sudden, since, I'm going to say January, right? I'm going to use since after that, especially Manchester City game, but we're not expected to play. The football has just not been the same. And do you think that's why a lot of fans are getting frustrated at the moment? Because it all started off great, but it's just because all the players are back and all this expectation that everyone's now going, oh, where's the football gone?
I think the expectations, right, and I've said this before on my channel, I think the expectations from the majority of the fan base were that we were going to struggle this season. And because we haven't struggled in the sense of what our position in the league and what we've done in them first 10 games, I think as a fan base, the majority of fans believe that we've exceeded where they thought we would be, and therefore expecting this to happen at a far quicker rate than what it's actually happening. And that's, I just think it's about expectations from the majority of the fan base.
Tops, your feelings on that as well?
Yeah, no, I very much agree. I think we've definitely exceeded our expectations in terms of what was predicted at the beginning of the season. I, for one, never envisaged us being half as good as what we've been this season, purely. I underestimated Ange, and I also underestimated the impact some of the older players and some of the newer players that we signed. I do think there has to be a bit of tempering or sort of quenching people's expectations, and we are still a team really in our early sort of trajectory. And to be honest with you, we can clearly see that whilst some of the philosophy and some of the style he's definitely trying to implement is working, there's still lots of it that needs to be worked on, namely how we create for ourselves in attack, namely how we reduce the number of chances that we give up, and also generally how we sort of better manage the movement from the first and second phase into the third, without leaving ourselves sort of open in the defence. So I don't feel particularly worried. I have felt super frustrated at the quality and the inconsistency of our attack this season. If anything, that's probably been my biggest worry.
No, and to be fair, Tops, just to agree with you on that, the front three, I think, even when it was our first 10 games, everyone was complaining about our front three.
Yeah,
Son was just getting us out of jail, if we're being completely honest.
I mean, one thing I think is also very clear as well is that, like, you know, Ange is an unknown quantity.
Yeah.
And after the first 19 games, everyone's had a look at him. Everyone's had a look at him. They've had time to prepare. There's tape on him. They can actually have a look at his tactical setups. They can actually have a look at some of the positioning and how we start and how we have our middle period in games and how we end games. So it isn't supposed to be this one track sort of method of we're going to play well, we're going to start well. Teams have set up for it. If you look at the way Palace set up on the weekend, it literally tactically and then literally in the personnel, their back six was almost identical to the way Wolves set up the previous week. The only difference was that they had way better players in transition for Wolves.
The only thing I'd say about that is because I openly admit I watched Crystal Palace the week before against Burnley.
Yeah.
And they set up exactly in the same way. And I don't think they're going to I don't think realistically they're going to change much. They literally are playing for the mistakes of the other team. That's what Burnley did. Burnley made the mistakes. Yeah. So I get kind of, where you're going, but the fact that Wolves, and when it came to Wolves and Palace were, if you go and watch them against Wolves, they played exactly the same against Wolves. So I think it's going to be a Glasner thing that's how, and they played very narrow. The two, I think Munoz and Mitchell will be their wide players, and I think for them at the weekend, I think Royale and Udogie did well enough to cut that aspect out, and that's why Palace couldn't really, and couldn't go well as much. And obviously Eze's not fully fit, because as soon as Eze came off, they kind of went to pot as well. But that's a totally different question. Jay, quickly want to bring you in on it. Expectations, because obviously we were talking about the pretty football and stuff like that, and just going back off your question, do you think a lot of are you frustrated with the way we are playing going forward? Because defensively, apart from set pieces, I think I'm going to openly say everyone is quite happy defensively, apart from the set pieces problem.
We're about exactly where I thought we'd be. Like about slap bang where I thought we'd be. I thought we'd be top 5 this season. I didn't necessarily think Villa would be in the top where they are. I thought maybe like Chelsea would be there, or the composition of the teams above us is slightly different to what I thought it would be, but we're about exactly where I thought we'd be. So that puts me on the line of expectation when I'm talking to people. For me, it's very simple. It's like I think of it in a few different ways, and it keeps me calm. Is that I know the team in 2 years is going to look fundamentally different from how the team looks now. So me being frustrated about a long-term vision where there's players who are playing now who will not be there, I don't really, it doesn't make sense to me. Okay. I also have to give the young players the opportunity to develop and the players the opportunity to understand the style of play and then real-time football experience for them to implement it. So whilst all of these things are going on, I can't be too impatient with the team. I just have to give the team the opportunity to grow. And I don't really get frustrated. Like I knew coming into the season, there'll be ups and downs. And you get teams that are playing to just counter us. They're looking at how we play and they say, how can we counteract this? Mm-hmm. This is newer. Last season, when you become a team, there's only a few different teams in the Premier League that teams set up like this. You've got your Cities, your Arsenals, probably argue your Brightons, and then I don't know how many more teams there are that teams are proactively setting up in a certain way to counter these teams when they're playing. So it's obviously there's a lot for us to develop as a team, but I'm not unhappy with anything really. I obviously will get frustrated about performances in game because you see what the team is capable of. But you also have to understand that, again, we don't exist in a vacuum. There's a lot of good teams in the Premier League. And, Wolves went to Chelsea and spanked them. They're a good side. And if you don't have everything, and if you look at the game as well, concede off a set piece, Bazuma missed control, counter-attack, maybe Emerson could do more, maybe Van der Ven could do more, Bazuma could definitely do more, and you lose that game. You probably did enough not to lose the game, but it's a harsh lesson that you learn. So as long as the team improves after these kind of results, it reminds me of when we lost to West Ham at home. And then after that, straight away, we improved dramatically because I remember we had a lot of players injured. And I was saying, are we just going to lose every game until the players come back? The players need to step up. The players need to do something. So as long as a team continues to learn from its mistakes, not make the same mistakes week in, week out, and, the younger players show development and growth and stuff like that, I will always be back in the side and I will have very little negative to say.
Just to add to that really quickly, it's a question for everyone, and including yourself, Marlon. Do you think that the reason why Basuma, and especially as Basuma, is playing within himself and not kind of playing to the expectation of fans, how he was playing at the start of the season, how he was playing in pre-season? Do you think that's because of things like the Wolves mistake, the Man City? Obviously, he tried to do something at, I think it was 2-2, and he tried to play out like in that midfield area.
Oh, we're talking about the away game.
The away game, yeah. Lost the ball, and then we went 3-2 down, and all the fans were going mad at Basuma. And the thing is, as well, like Andrew was like, I want these players to play with freedom. I want them to play with no fear, and that's what he was doing at the start of the season. He does it against Man City. He makes a mistake, and then lots of people jump on him, and all of a sudden, now fans are like, including myself, I'll put myself in this, we're like, why isn't Basuma doing Basuma things? Do you know what I mean? Is it because of that kind of risk-reward things where he's taking a risk? Same with Bentancur. Bentancur, I think it was against Brighton at the edge of the box, decides to dribble with it and then loses it, and then all of a sudden people are handing down on Bentancur. Do you think anyone can jump in when they want? Like, do you think that's the reason why some of these players are playing within themselves and we're not able to unlock these defenses? Because that's how you unlock the low block through a dribble.
So there was a period on. So there was. So you say that, and then there was a very good period on Saturday, right? And I think it involved Basuma, and I can't remember who the player was on the left, where they took a very big risk, right, in getting the ball out, and they ended up then going onto the right hand side, and it's when Emerson Royale didn't get the crossing, right? That seems, and I'm going to agree with you here. I think that seems to be lacking. And I think Basuma's mistakes have cost him, right? And so have your doggies. Your doggies have been a big advocate of he's not taken as much risks as he has done, as he was, as you say, the first 10 games, and especially when our defense Van der Ven weren't there. I think he slowly, now that Van der Ven's there, is trying to do that. But I think you could be correct. The risk now for a lot of the players and us, obviously social media fans, especially with people like Brendan Johnson and the abuse he's been getting, that actually it may be a key factor into some of the players are playing within themselves. And I don't know if Ange is trying to tell him not to, right? But it's just not coming across or whatnot, because you saw the impact Johnson had when he came on.
Yeah.
Right? You all saw it. It was completely a different Johnson to what we've all been expecting. So
can I just throw in on that, Val? Because the thing is that obviously to play with freedom is not a given. Like it can be difficult. And some of these players in the team have played on instinct over the last 18, 19, 20 weeks, whatever, and they've made big mistakes. Do you know what I mean? Some of these players played on their instincts and they've made big mistakes, and they've been roundly smashed by the fan base for it. Yeah. So for me to then say, well, I wouldn't understand why these players wouldn't play within themselves. Bazuma, he playing on instinct, gives the ball away. We concede a goal. Yeah. Johnson playing on instinct. Maybe he's not pressing hard enough. Maybe he's not staying on the last man enough. All these players, Udogie playing on instinct, 2 goals given away by passing the ball back because he doesn't necessarily realize there's somebody there.
Yeah.
These players playing on their instincts have made mistakes. Now, we all want the players to learn quickly, but I would fundamentally agree that the confidence to have complete confidence in your ability to do something and execute it, and to trust that your teammate is going to be where you think he's going to be, and think that takes time. And obviously, what's it like? Confidence. It's like a staircase going up, elevator coming down. So these players, like it can be very difficult for them, and I think that we have to remember that they are young as well, and it's just a work in progress. I know some people might be like, oh, we've been patient, and I'm just like, well, each project is different. Each of these young players is different, and even the older players, like a Bentancur, getting used to his body again and trusting himself in certain instincts, trusting, his agility in certain spots, and I think it'll come again. And the players that it doesn't come again for will be shipped out. I have confidence that will happen.
What do you think, Jose, about our midfield at the moment? Because that was meant to be one of our strengths at the moment, and now it's like that's part of the reason why it feels like we're starting a little bit slow. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's something else why the midfields aren't quite clicking like they were at the start of the season?
Again, it's all variables, isn't it? At the end of the day, we're talking about players. You're talking about Bentancur, who's had 2 major ops, still trying to find his way back. We knew in our hearts of hearts, we knew that when he comes back from the first one, he's not going to be the same player to begin the next season. Then to suffer another one, so he's still making his way back. Maddison, he's been out injured for 3 months. He's building up and making his way back. Bissouma has been suspended and hardly played for Tottenham since the mid-December. So he's now trying to make his way back. So there's a lot of different reasons why there. But what I've said, and I will continue to say, is that these players have been assessed throughout the whole season by Ange and by the coaching team. We now have 12 games. All these players on the training pitch have been given their scripts. So they've got the scripts for the last 12 games. The last 12 games is their casting, as I call it. So they'll be cast in the last 12 games. Those that make the cut make the production, and that production is to be with Tottenham next season. I feel that he already knows what players he can trust and what players won't fit his system. We know that this is not his full squad yet because he's only been here for one summer and winter transfer window. I mean, someone like Kulusevski, right? I think Kulusevski is a really good footballer. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a really, really good footballer. However, I'm starting to see Kulusevski now in a different light and thinking to myself, is he one of the ones that's going to fit the system that Ange wants to play next season? Do you see what I mean? So I think all these players are on notice at the moment, including our midfielders. They're all on notice. Every single player's on notice at the moment. And some players, they're not going to turn around and tell the players now, are they? Who's not going to make it for next season, because then you're just going to upset the squad completely. So therefore, it's being kept close to his chest, and we will find out who's made the casting at the end of the season.
Tops, do you think this midfield is overhyped? Like we just got mad gas at the start, the way we started off mad fast and that. We're like, oh my goodness. Huh? What?
Tops, before you go, I've got to go.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll be back next week. Jay, Jose, Tops, thank you for coming on. Ash, you do your thing. Take over.
Chill out, Marlon. Take care, mate. Bye.
Spurs King's gone.
I think it's a multitude of things. I think largely confidence is an issue at the moment. I feel like none of the midfielders, maybe outside of Sarr, have really like gone lights out this year for us. Do I think we were overhyped? No, I feel like we actually were playing in a rich vein of form because I felt like confidence was good, and actually a lot of the performances, they were very much deserved. Where I am now with it, I wouldn't say the word I want to use is stale. I just feel that like there's something just not clicking. I'm really completely giving Bentancur a complete buy until at least the middle of next season. He's even playing at a level way earlier than I thought he would. So at this point, him starting games is a blessing in itself, and I'm really not going to pass any true judgment on him until at least the middle of next season. Maddison is also on the run after a 3-month layoff. He was arguably the league's best player up to that point. I feel like his role as well has had to change a little bit because people understand his importance to our style and in our build-up. And inadvertently, that's also minimized what maybe Basuma is doing. I feel like Basuma, whilst he doesn't have the most wide passing range, his ability to take the ball, to beat the first press, to build from the first phase, it's not as effective. And I actually think it's kind of pointing to us having a lack of a high volume, true passing six, which I don't think Basuma is. I think Basuma has his uses in that position, in that hybrid single pivot, but I think ultimately he isn't really what Ange probably wants there. So I think a multitude of these things have kind of made a difference. I also think as well that, like, largely in this team, one of the things that I think has been really, really positive is consistency. And when I say consistency, I mean consistency in form, consistency in personnel. Over the first 15 games that were on that right side, Poro, Kulusevski, Sarr, that was a fixture that was pretty much predominantly present throughout a large part of the season. And at this point, it's been such a long time since we've had Sarr, Poro, Kulusevski playing in their preferred roles. Admittedly, Emerson has done okay. I think he's a good defender, but he has his limitations. Obviously, Sarr didn't start the game. It was Bentancur, who doesn't really know the other two as well, even though he's played with them as well. And obviously, at this point, we're having a bit of a dip, or I don't know how you call it, dip in form or lack of form or output from Kulusevski. So I think it's a multitude of things. I mean, generally as well, like, players at the top level, unless you're in like the top 5%, you're just not going to play lights out every week. You're just not. You just have to kind of accept that. And if you're okay with that, whilst we're still muddling through results and getting sort of 6, 7 out of 10s, then that's okay. I'm not worried. I'm just gonna have to be patient with it at this point.
Jay, were you gonna say something? Were you gonna come in?
No, I was gonna add on to his point about I got excited with the Maddison point that he was making, because it's like, it does feel like he's claustrophobic. Bazuma's almost like when you got a school that's like had a bad report, you got the inspector around making sure that everything's above board around there. So I was agreeing with him on that. I think the midfield point is a really interesting one, because on the one hand, I think I've always looked at things like the perception of what? Sorry, I just saw that too. I've always looked at us from the perception of when people were judging the team and had no expectations, they rated the players on a certain level. And as the team is now being seen as a 5th place side or this or that, like, if you look at it from that point of view, then people are starting to look at the players with slightly different eyes, slightly different perceptions. And I think that's normal. In terms of, I think the players are good players. I think we have a squad of good to very good midfielders. Are they very good midfielders for specifically Ange's system? No. So that means some of them are not going to be fit for purpose to challenge for a title in 18 months, 2 years' time. So these players need to be phased out whilst helping the team as much as possible in the meantime. And this is just it's a natural churn. A churn in a way that you don't want to hemorrhage money on the deals. We're not doing a fire sale. You've got to organically grow the squad. So Højbjerg, Lo Celso are going to go in the summer. Maybe Skip on loan, or maybe so that's 3 spots in midfield. Yeah. Okay. So you look at defense. Okay, one of Davies or Emerson has to go, because you then you can bring in a 2-sided fullback who can play on both flanks, who can back it up. So you got 2 midfielders. Bergval's coming in, a new attacker, a high quality winger. Now we're already at 5 new players. Yeah, 5, 6. So already we're at 5, 6 players, and I think that from an organic development point of view from a side, you don't really want to bring in any more than that. Like that's a lot of players to phase into a team. So coming back to the midfield thing is, I think the midfielders are good. I think that sometimes there's like Jose mentioned, there's teething issues, there's meshing issues. Top's mentioned about the right hand side. There's players at different points of their career. There's players at different points of their development. There's players at different understanding of the system. And if it sounds like excuses, it's meant to be, because I want to give most of these players as much context and time as possible. Yeah. So if that makes me someone who's apologizing for their performances, good, because I want these players to play in an environment where 3 months into a team, they're not being told they're not good enough to be with the team long term. Do you see what I mean? Like, as in, football isn't linear. Now, we might outstrip these players in terms of the pace we need to get to where we're going to versus the pace of their development. Yeah. It's okay if we're going too fast for them to leave them behind. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that you don't want to make sure everyone has a good opportunity to get in the car, right?
It's true. I'm just going to bring this quick thing up about Richarlison. I saw on X, and I'll just read it out and then I'll get your guys' thoughts on it. And then I'll move into another point. It says, breaking THFC striker Richarlison was vocally criticized of former head coach Antonio Conte's shit tactics, shit formation, and shit hair transplant during a team's meeting after a misunderstanding. And I think when I read the full document, it was saying how he wanted Richarlison to apologize for being late. And Richarlison fully went to town on Antonio Conte. Just gonna ask you, Jose, what do you think? What do you make of these comments from Richarlison? Do you respect his honesty? Do you think that was needed at the time, or do you think that was quite disruptive? Like moving forward, like into Ange ball right now we're in. Do you think if Richarlison said these comments, should he be like pushed out the team, or should he be punished, etc., etc.? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
So these comments have only come out now.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing.
Okay, so they've only come out now, and they're about a previous manager. So it's got nothing to do with what we're doing at the moment. So nothing to do with Ange or anything that's happening at the moment. He is just talking about something that happened in a point in time in the past. In the past, I would say that you have to be someone that hasn't got very good eyesight, and I have to wear glasses to see that there wasn't an issue with Richarlison and Conte last season anyway, because Conte he hardly used Richarlison at all last season. So all right, we still had Kane there, but Richarlison wasn't used. So when there was a game that you could throw Richarlison in, Kane would play, or they'd switch around so someone else would play there, but Richarlison wasn't given the chances. So there's obviously something going on in the background between them both anyway. But then also as well, on top of that, Richarlison was carrying an injury as well last season. So you had that as well. And mentally, he wasn't in the right place last season. We all know this. It's all been documented. And now since he's gone and sought help, and since he's had the procedure to cure his ailment, he's become a different type of player. And obviously, it's the Ange effect and the coaching team's effect and the team's harmony. The team's harmonised now. When under Conte, it wasn't harmonised because Conte was divisive, I think, with the team, and we definitely weren't harmonised. So to me, it doesn't affect me at all. He's entitled to say what he wants to say now. The manager's moved on. I don't think it's going to affect the team in any way, shape, or form in making these comments, and therefore there's no reason for him to do anything to him at all, castigate him because of his comments.
Just switching on the conversation a little bit, I'm going to just move a bit forward, because after that he's come out and said he's actually fit. Like he was deemed to be unfit to play in the next 2 to 3 games, etc., etc. He's now saying, actually, I'm fit to play Aston Villa. Now, I'm going to get onto the topic of Timo Werner and Johnson and get.
Sorry, did you just say he's come out and said that he's fit to play this weekend?
There's rumours to say that. Yeah,
is that what he's saying? Okay.
Actually, yeah, I'm actually available.
Just really quickly before you move on.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't like it. Yeah, because whether you like Conte or not, he's the manager. Yeah, he's the gaffer. That's disrespectful. Yeah, saying the manager, calling the manager out, I don't like it. I'm sorry. Like,
What, even after he's gone, Jay? Even now that it's a year
no,
ago.
What I'm saying is that, like, to me, that's something where I'm like, oh, okay, this is a character issue, because whether or not you like Romero fucking hated Conte last season. I've never seen Romero come out and do this. So that I'm saying that I appreciate where Richarlison is at. I appreciate where Richarlison mentally was at. And maybe this is an outburst, but imagine at your place of work, the manager says something to like a sales rep and stuff like that, and the sales rep just chews him out in front of your sales playbook is crap. Yeah, I can't close no deals because of the way you do. Outrageous.
But Jay, can I just say, you just said Romero.
Yeah.
Romero came out and said last season, if Conte stays,
yeah,
I'm off.
Yeah.
So therefore, what's the difference?
Romero did not, in front of the whole dressing room of players, call the manager shit. That's a line I don't think you should really be looking to cross as a player. Like, if you're outwardly saying to the manager, like, and the manager is very, I feel that's very, it's a path you don't want to go down as a player, to be calling out the manager in front of the rest of your teammates. There's an authority thing there, whether you like it or not. We were all very critical of when Danny Rose could go to Levy and saying, like, it's too pally-pally. I've got to be honest here. This is a title-winning manager who's won everywhere he's been. He's Don Conte. It was all Antonio. When things were going well. But when things are going badly, like, players can just call him shit to his face in front of the dressing room. I personally don't like it. I get why people are saying no harm, no foul. But to me, I don't think that's the kind of mentality you want, because what's to stop him turning around and saying to Ange, if Ange wants to leave him on the bench for the next 5-6 games or whatever and play Son down the middle, to turn around and say, what's the manager doing? I need to be playing, yada, yada, yada. Like, what's the difference?
Tops, where do you stand on this as well? Do you think it was acceptable for Richarlison to come out and say those comments? And if it was against Ange, would it be different? Do you know what I mean? Just to bring it into...
No, I actually do agree with Jay. Football, it feels like to me like football's quite a secular community. If you see the way pros interact with each other, they do respect each other, even though they do compete with each other. And the notion of doing that publicly, it doesn't particularly sit well with me, considering during his exact tenure, he only scored one goal. I feel it's quite crazy of someone of Richarlison's ilk to have the confidence to say that, especially as he's now having such a good season under Ange. By his standards, it's not to say it was Conte's fault that Richarlison didn't play well, and vice versa. It's not to say that it was Richarlison's fault that Conte couldn't really get us going last year. But I do think, from a professional perspective, it's not something that I would particularly be keen on if I was managing a group, or if I was part of a group. I don't know. It kind of points to Richarlison's character a little bit.
So with that being said, can I just ask you all, and this is not Tottenham related, with that being said, something that's fresh, that's just happened this season, Jadon Sancho and Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Sancho said what he had to say. Ten Hag has said what he had to say. Who's right and who's wrong? Are we saying that are we putting that Sancho's done it live this season?
Yeah, but the thing, okay, I actually see your point of view there, Jose, but then in the same vein, Rashford's also had a number of situations in which he's publicly come out and apologised and said, I'm in the wrong. And the manager said, I've accepted your apology, you're important to the group, you're back in. Sancho doesn't even have, this is a completely different topic. Sancho doesn't even have the clout, doesn't even have the tape to be able to say this sort of stuff.
You can also make the point that Sancho got gulagged as well, as in like you're not training with us. So the point is that Sancho said that he made the outburst and then he was separated from the group. So one could even make the argument that, Jose, the point you're making is valid, but in that instance, the manager separated that player from the rest of the group due to his comments. So you could almost argue that, okay, that player was kicked out of the group for the way he responded. It was kick out of the group worthy, what Sancho did. And what Sancho did was less than what Richarlison did.
Yeah.
And he wasn't kicked out of the group, which is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We got a real live situation this season, not someone that's talking after the event like Richarlison's now done and come out and said. We've actually got a live situation that's happened this season. So that's the only reason.
Hold on, Jose, are you misinterpreting this? Because my interpretation of what happened is this happened in the dressing room last season, and Richarlison said this to Conte's face in front of
everyone. Yeah.
But
he wasn't separated.
It's only just come out now.
But what I'm saying is that at the time that happened, Sancho has been separated from the group.
Yeah.
Right. But so why wasn't, if this happened, why wasn't Richarlison separated from the group? It was not like he was getting a look in, Jay, was he, last year?
Maybe because Conte is not as precious as Ten Hag. I mean, the standards are the standards. As in, like, if Richarlison had done that to Sir Alex Ferguson, would he ever have played for Man United again?
No.
Probably not. Yeah, and on the flip side, if he'd done it to Brendan Rodgers, he'd probably be starting the next week. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, managers have different thresholds, and I completely get your point, and it is valid. It's just a case of my moral compass playing in teams. It's like the naughty kid in school. When a kid is doing all that stuff in school, you might go, ooh, but you're not thinking, what a switched on guy. You're thinking, oh, man, fucking this guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, Kane's probably looking at him thinking, what am I doing here? Who are you to be saying this to our manager? Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that sort of thing would make a divide in the dressing room, because even as we're disagreeing to an extent about the impact of it, I'm sure the players themselves who observed this would have different opinions on the impact on the group and how they felt about it, right?
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. The point I was going to move on to, guys, and you all brought up valid points there, was that Richarlison may be in contention. And before I talk about Johnson's performance, etc., would you put Richarlison back in this starting 11? And would you
Ash. The minute Son is available as a striker in this team, the minute Son is ever available as a striker in this team, Richarlison never plays. I don't understand why Spurs fans actually want to debate this. Why do we want to debate this? Why do we ever need to debate this?
Let me change the question. Do you think Ange will start Richarlison?
No, I do not. I do not. In my opinion, and before I go, I'll just say this. I feel that in his mind, he has almost been forced to play Son on the left because of Richarlison's rich vein of form. That form, that confidence level is now gone. We now know that our most confident and our most efficient and decisive striker is Son. Son is the player that he wants to play. And actually, the player that he's been playing most consistently, even in Son's absence on the left-hand side, is Werner. So we now see that he trusts Werner on the left. Our most effective player in the middle is Son, and the most consistent player we've had all season on the right hand side is Kulu. Like, to me, I don't understand how between now and the end of the season that should ever change. And I'm telling you now, as a Spurs fan, being objective as possible, I don't see how Richarlison's 10-11 goals is going to change that. I really do not. I really do not. In my opinion, people can shoot me for this. I even want Richarlison sold. There's nothing that I've seen enough. I don't even think I've seen enough for me to be like, I'll keep him. I just want him gone. I actually want him gone at this point.
Well, to just piggyback on the point about wanting him gone. Listen, I'm one of these people where I'm like, on merit, he might deserve to be here next season. But when you're looking, there's a new era of these number 9s in the Premier League. Yeah, and you see these Watkins and Hoylands, and we need one of these. Like, we need one of these kind of guys. Like, and and looking at it, like Richarlison was playing on the left before Son went away anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like he can play on the left if he wants a little bit, but yeah, I'm fully Son is he's our best, most effective scorer. He needs to be played in the position where he can cause the most damage. That's number 9. So Richie's got to be on the bench. I'm sorry.
So for me,
sorry, Jose. This will be the last thing I say before I go. What I'm worried about is that we could potentially be going into a second season trying to challenge for a title, or even in the Champions League, with a potential attack that consists of Richarlison and Werner. I mean, this is enough to scare nobody. This is enough to scare nobody, and this is why I feel like we actually need to start thinking about, in my opinion, the quality and the profile of like attacker that we actually try and get in the summer. Because at this point, Werner has probably, in my opinion, he hasn't done enough. But to people who look at his stats and his performance level, will probably be enough to secure him his £50 million deal. So,
I think he's on the line. I flip flop on him. Some weeks I'm like, okay, as long as you bring in another high quality winger, I could be okay with it. Like, and on the other side, because on the flip side, you got to look at the likes of, and Jose, come in on this, like the likes of, I always judge the opposition players, and it's like people judge our players through a different lens than they judge the opposition players. Yeah. I was hearing all summer about Doku. I was hearing all summer about how we messed up not buying Doku. And that's not to say Doku wouldn't impress in our system, but who's that over there, Brennan Johnson, with more output? Okay, then. But they're quiet on that. Do you see what I mean? And I'm not trying to say X plus Y equals Z. I'm not going to say 2 plus 2 equals 5. But I am going to say that people often judge opposition players with a different lens to which they judge their own. Because I promise you, those opposition players are not lights out every week. They're just as inconsistent as our players.
I agree with you, because Doku has not looked good to me at all. I watched Doku and there's no final product with him. So I totally agree on Doku, and he's not the only one. There are other players.
Of course.
Yeah, we do. At our players, we're microscopic, and we pick up every single fault of our own players. With others, we turn around and say, yeah, rate him, he's a good player. Yeah, I rate him, he's a good player. But what have they done for you to rate him? It's because they play for another team. It's not because they are any good. So that happens. Now, I agree with you on that, but then I want to go back. Before Crystal Palace's game, I said speed kills. We can, and I hear what you're saying, Tops, but we can only play with what we've got at the moment, the squad that we have at the moment. And if that includes Werner and that includes players that we've got, that's what we got to do from now to the end of the season. I'm not saying we shouldn't change it up in the summer, but speed kills. I wanted to see Werner, Son, and Johnson play against Palace. Right. I'm not Captain Hindsight with what happened in the second half and Johnson coming on. I said this on Friday. I said, I want to see them free because speed kills. Kulu, for me, has regressed since January, completely regressed. And that's why I think that his job is on the line. And as easy as we bought him, and I still think he's a decent player, he either becomes a squad player that challenges for the first team but doesn't play every game next season, or he's one of the players that I think might fall by the wayside. But for me, the surprising thing for me, you're talking about Richie saying that he's going to be back for the Villa game. I doubt it. I'd be very shocked if they've turned around and said he's out for 3 weeks. He's out for 3 weeks, not for 1 week.
Well, he came out and said, "Didn't you see me sprint across to celebrate the goal with the rest of the teammates? Didn't you see me sprinting?" That's
I did see him in the huddle, isn't it?
So that's why he's coming out saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be ready for the Aston Villa game." But just on that actual,
can I just say the one thing that surprised me? The one thing that surprised me today, guys, was reading up on Perisic. Perisic made the substitutes bench for Hadjuk Split at the weekend.
Oh, wow. Breaking news.
Perisic is out till the end of the season, according to all reports. He had one of these ops done, which reduces your percentage by 50% or something like that. He's had some procedure done. He was back on the bench for Hadjuk this weekend, just gone. Didn't get on, but back on the bench. So when I heard that news, I thought to myself, do you know what? Like in rugby union, you get 15 players and you get your 8 subs, and they're your finishers. They come on after about 50 minutes and they finish your game, so you finish strong. Perisic for us in the first 6 games that he
Oh,
played.
it was lovely, wasn't
He
it?
came on with 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go. He came on the left-hand side, and he done stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, the guys now on the subs bench for Hajduk Split, we could do with Perisic coming on for 10, 15 minutes for us.
My caveat for Brennan Johnson is versus your Kulusevski in the build-up. I'm just not confident with Brennan in the build-up. And what I mean by that is sometimes, and we play this positional play I spoke about earlier, when sometimes the winger needs to drop into the fullback position to facilitate that ball into midfield and look after it. And when Brennan Johnson plays a little bit deeper and he tries to show for it and look after it, a lot of the times I've seen him lose the ball in that particular position. That's my only critique of Brennan Johnson in that. So what you lose from one player, you gain another. Because Kulu, in my opinion, I wouldn't even mind seeing him in the 10 certain times to help with the build-up.
Well,
I thought Sonny did especially well in the build-up against Crystal Palace. In fact,
it was great.
Linked up well, held the ball. Everyone's saying he's not physical enough, he's not going to be strong enough. But I thought he had more intelligence about him in terms of
the point you make is amazing about the what you gain and lose, because I remember watching do you remember the Werner cross?
Yeah.
And it went right. And it was like, if Johnson was on, he's got a tap in at the back post.
Yeah.
Because he would make that run. And I think with Johnson, it's like, who do they want him to be is also a thing. Like, obviously, you've got that Walcott inside out movements. You've got the Sterling type movements in the box. There's a lot of attributes that we can pull out of him as a player. But in the build-up play, what he gave us at the weekend, which I hadn't seen as much of, was tenacity. There was an oomph to his game, that I hadn't. This cross, right, Brennan would be there.
Right.
Brennan would be there.
Yeah.
And see, Kulu's on his heels.
Yeah.
Brennan wouldn't be on his heels. That's a straight tap in for Brennan.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember it vividly, because I remember in the game I was thinking, wow, Brennan would have scored. But with that thing, he's got a lot of attributes, and I think sometimes he's got to meet us halfway, but we've also got to meet him halfway. We've got to look at what he's good at and not be killing him for what he's not good at. But that doesn't give him a pass for some of the stuff that you're saying, like loose touches, loose passes, loose link up. That's not him having carte blanche to just mess about. But on the other hand, it's also saying, use him like we need to use him. Send him early. Have him playing on the last man. Utilize his skills more and his skill set while he adapts. That's kind of where I'm coming at with him.
Okay, you see that? So that for me, Johnson's miss here again. This is where you need to anticipate the ball coming in, or the ball. I know it came at him quite fast, and I thought, am I being too harsh here? But actually, sometimes when you look at forward players, they gamble, they anticipate at things coming, 50-50s. And this is what you need to be ready for. And I go back to the chance that even Werner had. Werner had a chance here. And
that was on the right, weren't it, Johnson? Where his body shape was all wrong, and he side-footed it on the right foot and he went over.
Correct. Yeah. So I just thought, even Werner, when Werner had his chance, I think I went too far forward here. Too far. Here we go. So for me, Werner's got to do a lot better here. It comes, he squares it off to Werner. Werner opens up his body. And then he kind of he needs to have better contact, in my opinion.
He needs to take it. The way he runs onto the ball isn't like he's stretching to he doesn't pace his. He doesn't pace. It's a lovely ball by Son.
Leaning back. He's actually leaning back. So if you want to get a strike across the floor, or you need to be a little bit more upright first of all.
And definitely knee over it as well.
Definitely. 100%. Depends what type of finish you want to do. If you want to do a
if
finish,
he wants to bend it, his body shape's all wrong for what he's trying to do. To put it in the other corner, he's not. His feet are too close to the ball. He needs to be 100%. Slightly to the left of the ball as well, and he needs to run at it more like he's almost starting a triple jump or something. Do you know what I mean? He's got to bend it a little bit.
Yeah, I think he did. But I mean, Tops, you have to go?
I have to go, bro.
Tops, it's been a
I
pleasure.
appreciate
It's my first
Jose.
stream with you, Tops. It's been a pleasure.
Big
Cheers,
up.
See you
Tops.
later. Thank you,
very much.
Jose. Nice to meet you, Ash. Thank you so
And
much.
yourself.
Take care.
Take
fam.
care, Toes.
Take care,
Nice one.
Top. Take care, man.
Bye.
There's Tops at New Spurs Order, man. Always giving
Yeah.
great ammo, great information, good tactical knowledge, good game
He's a
knowledge
lot,
of football.
he's a lot less sarcastic than he is on Twitter, isn't he?
You could have just told him then, but
I know,
anyway.
yeah, I only thought of it. I only thought of it just then. And also, I didn't know how he was going to respond.
Fair. You're a bit shocked.
I know, yeah.
Cool. But look at Sonny. Sonny's feet to get his shot away. I think this is the difference between him and a Richarlison. I think, like, in terms of him trying to fashion a chance by himself, Sonny's got that. He fashions the chance by himself. He opens his body up, hits the ball across the sticks.
Yeah,
I thought he scuffed that shot.
He did scuff it, but I see Ash's point in terms of that. Son sees the vision in his head. Richarlison can't see that. If I do this and this, I'm going to have an opportunity to shoot. Do you see what I mean?
I'm agreeing with both of you because there shouldn't be a comparison at all because it is clearly night and day. Richarlison and Son playing in the 9 position. It's night and day.
Yeah. Also here, I'm going to pick up
what was saying here, Ash? Clever movement or just...
I was going to say it's the movement. For me, it's the movement. It's the movement from Sonny and Werner, in fact. I didn't even notice this before, but Werner's movement, not bad as well. Like, Werner comes, he goes one way. He makes two. He goes one way, Son goes into he makes a run towards the 6-yard box. And then Werner shifts the other way. And then Son goes the other way, so he makes a dart into the 6-yard box.
It's nice. It's nice.
I mean, they complement each other so well in that position. And then guess what? It ends up in the back of the net for Werner. So it was a well goal. And I'm not going to just come down on Werner all the way. But naturally, you could tell he's not a natural baller. You see what I'm trying to say? I feel like he's been manufactured compared to someone like.
And they forgot to include ball striking.
Yeah. So that's the reason why he missed so much at Chelsea, and I think
so. Maddison found the space here because he was not marked at all. He had the complete space. Everyone else was 1-to-1 marked, and he had all the space in the world and came and found it.
This is a really good goal, though.
It is. And Romero, fair to him, he's got so many headed goals, and he's added another dimension to our attack, getting forwards, doing the right thing as a centre half. You can see the space, he attacks it, and he's getting goals from that position. Here again, Son. Unlike Werner, when Werner was at that same position, but on the opposite side,
right across the defender, goes right across it. Take me down, get sent off.
Exactly. And then here you see the quality of Son. He gets closer to the goal. He knows where it is. He's already made his mind up by the time he gets here. He knows what corner he wants. So he has a little look at the goalkeeper, and he's picking a corner. Unlike Werner, who tries to go around the goalkeeper. So yeah, I think it was the two players. You can see why. One is more of an elite player, and one it's not going to quite get over the line. And we've got a decision to make as a club whether we want to invest in someone like Werner. Werner has his pluses. There's a reason why he's in so many goal scoring positions, in my opinion, because he does have some football intelligence. He does have some football IQ. But I feel like he's the type of player where you're going to need to give him about 3 or 4 chances before he sticks it in the back of the net, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think the thing is that you have to make tough decisions if you want to get to where you're trying to get to, and we as a club need to be looking at. Okay, well, Solomon's barely played this season, so I don't really have an opinion on him yet. But you have Solomon, you've got Werner, you've got Richie. Now, if you want to keep Kulu and Johnson, let's say 100% for next season, you can argue that those 3 players I just mentioned, Richie, Solomon and Werner are more likely to play off the left next season, and you might bring in a high quality winger as well. But the argument there with those 3 players is basically saying that can you really afford to carry more than one of them? 2 of them at an absolute gunpoint, but it's like we can't really go into next season with all 3 of them. And I think that's when you need to start making strong decisions about evolving the team, where it's like,
we have to have that conversation.
It's a very tough one because you're asking the question of, it's a good deal and it's reasonable and he can add value, but is it enough for where you're trying to get to? And does it fall into the category that we all fell into after we made top 4 with Conte, of bringing players in to bolster the squad, but not bringing players in to directly go into the first team to then push players in the first team to become squad players? That's the mistake we made the previous season. I don't want us to make it again. And Werner would have to show a good amount more between now and the end of the season, I think, for us to retain him based on that logic and me trying to be consistent.
Now, I'm just going to bring up a quick video that I've just quickly, it's a quick one, but literally it's a winger. All right, we're looking at wingers. I just thought maybe we look at a winger in this particular segment. And I know we were really excited about some of the wingers in the Liga, especially Nico Williams. Nico Williams, I feel like there'll be a massive competition for him. I think Arsenal are in for him. Liverpool will possibly look at him as well. And I'm like, can we possibly get someone cheaper, but has the same type of age range, but has the same type of quality? So like a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. And I came up with this guy called Savio, plays in the Liga. And basically he's 19 years old. He's got.
Hold on. You know he's going City, yeah?
Is he going City?
Yeah.
Oh, scrap the video. Scrap the video. I was like, we can't talk about Eze. We can't talk about Eze. So let me talk about a winger.
How do you know he's going City?
Is the deal got done last week?
Did it?
Oh, forget it.
Yeah, it's Girona's part of the City group.
They're
isn't
a feeder. They're a feeder.
I was going to say that price point. It would have been perfect for us because he's not too expensive.
You got to, for me, look at it like a domino effect, yeah. And I'm sorry for ruining that. I probably should.
No, that's fine, man. It is what it is, man.
but I'm saying, so you look at Neto. You look at Neto. You look at Nico Williams. You look at Rafinha. I think there's a domino effect with these players. So it's like for me, if they don't get Nico, if Arsenal get Neto, then you're looking at, okay, who's doing us for Nico Williams? Yeah, if we go there all guns blazing with our presentation and be like, yeah, come on, Nico, Chelsea can't beat us to this player. Like any player that chooses to go to Chelsea over us right now, I don't want. So if you're going to tell me Nico or even Rafinha, because some people aren't as hot on Rafinha, but I'll
put it out there. Go on.
You don't want him?
No, I want him.
Rafinha is a Premier League winger. Like, differently, he's a Premier League winger. Yeah, put Rafinha one-on-one, because as soon as you have someone like Rafinha, he's very hard to contain one-on-one. So then you have to start doubling up on him. You double up on Rafinha, it gives another player space, and ergo the benefit of, I like Rafinha a lot. Yeah, people forget a year ago or so, we were all fighting for him. Us, Chelsea, Arsenal, Barca. We were all fighting for Rafinha. So I like the player a lot. I think he's underrated.
Are we going to go for Grealish or not?
I mean, Grealish, I was not mad at it. I said it in the group 2 days ago. No, yesterday. I said it. I said, guys, if Grealish comes available, I mean, I would. I know a lot of people. I just think he's a Tottenham player personally.
How much would you go to for him?
I don't think Man City ain't going to get the money, nowhere near the money they paid for him, and I think they know this already.
Yeah.
I think I have this logic of how can you miss me if I never go away? Yeah, and someone like Grealish, I feel like absence makes the heart grow fonder. And in his absence over some of these recent weeks, his value has grown to City because they've seen what he brings to the team in isolation. And I hear what you're saying, and Sam, I'm not sure City, for what they can get for him, it's worth it for them. What's the breakdown saying?
So Rafinha, I'll go to Grealish in a sec, but we'll compare the two players. In fact, so Rafinha this season has got I don't know if you can see 6 goals.
6 goals, 4
goals and 6 assists. 4 goals and 6 assists in the Liga, 1 in Champions League.
Who did he play
So
for in the Champions League? Because Corona ain't in the Champions League.
Rafinha,
Those are Rafinha.
Oh, Rafinha.
Barcelona.
Sorry,
Rafinha,
sorry,
Rafinha,
sorry,
yeah,
Savio.
Rafinha,
Sorry,
Bob.
mate. Sorry.
So,
Yeah. I know. Lamina's been keeping him. Is it Lamina? Not Lamina. I forget the guy.
Lamau.
Lamar. Sorry, Lamar's been keeping him at the side. But just to look at his shot creation actions, there his non-penalty goals, assists, shots total, blah blah blah, all in the right kind of area, and he can play left, right, or on a false nine. I'm gonna compare him to Jack Grealish if I can, real quickly.
And those are nice winger profiles, really, in terms of who he compares to. That's good.
So let me just clear everyone else out. Oh, actually, leave Elise in there. Oh,
And also, one thing that's slightly underrated about Rafinha is he's pretty durable.
Yeah, he is.
You know what I mean? He had 2 pretty full seasons with Leeds.
Jack Grealish.
And let's not forget what he was absolutely sizzling at Leeds as well. You know, it just when Bale came back, I know the Premier League's harder now and everything. It just made me realize that sometimes you have a type of winger that's just suited for the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of like.
Just to answer Ugly Fish, if Eze does go to Manchester City, it's Eze and Doku on the left, and that means Grealish will become available.
So basically, we could get Eze if Grealish stays. Then
yeah,
I think Man City are going out for Eze though.
I think with my thing about Eze though is like I'm not sure what he's like as a winger anymore because he hasn't played that much as a winger he's been playing more centrally recently.
I can't remember Rudy Badgie's name. Is it Badgie? Is it with a? Is it G?
Is it BDA?
I know it's A. Is it AARGHI? Double it.
Rooney Badgie. Spell it again. ROOONY.
I've gone with BA.
I'll add them in later. Let me just get the results of these guys.
Double. Is it double A?
I thought it was double A.
DARDGHI.
Just real quick, if I just look at his goals and assists, so let's do it like that. Can you guys see that? Goals and assists, Rafinha?
Yeah.
So let's highlight that against your Grealishes.
Grealish has hardly played. Grealish has hardly played though.
Yeah, it's not fair though. Yeah, I expect that. All right, so let's go for shots then. If you go for shooting, shots per 90. Is that fairer? Shots per 90?
Yeah.
Grealish is a set-up player. He doesn't take shots, does he? He's a set-up player.
Okay, so let's go for assist then.
Oh my God, Rafinha takes 4 shots per 90.
Well, that's what it says, my friend.
Oh my God, and here's me crying about Spurs. Like what? Let's go back. Let's recap, boys. What was it that I said? When you have a low block, there's only 3 main ways you can beat it: high quality crossing, dribbling past your man, and long range shots.
Let's go to crossing. Let's see if I can find crossing.
What's crossing like?
Crosses. At least he's going to be a demon. He's not so high.
He's not so high, but he's
more
than
high.
Okay, so
I think Eze beats him, and so does Bremo. In fact, I liked him Bremo. Elise is a bit higher. Well, Elise is a lot higher. They were on the 70s, whereas Rafinha's in the 50s. But
what about dribbles? Can you show us dribble in these for dribbles? Is he offsetting it with dribbles?
So successful dribbles. Eze is obviously going to be high. Rafinha's third. He's not too bad. He's not too bad.
Grealish has fallen off a cliff this season, right? So these are all the stats for this season, aren't they? And Grealish.
They are to be fair.
So basically, what we have with Rafinha is a proven all-rounder who adds value in a number of different areas that the team lacks.
Jack Grealish carries more though. Saying here, Jack Grealish is the carrier.
He's the carrier, yeah.
He's a ball carrier. In terms of ball carries, there's no one better than Bremo, Eze, Rafinha, Lisa. Jack Grealish is the best in terms of that. And if you take into consideration what Jose was saying, how much 90s he's had, Grealish at the bottom.
I don't know. I'll be interested in what sort of adaptation there is in terms of the La Liga versus the Premier League. In terms of is Rafinha being do his stats do they look better because say La Liga is an easier or more difficult league to get?
That's a good point. Tuchel's one, Rafinha's at the bottom.
Exactly.
It depends on the team you're playing for. Again, Barcelona, they're not typically.
But because it's like if we looked at, I'd like to see, say for example, Rafinha's stats in Leeds, because
we could do that. We could do that against.
Bielsa ball won't necessarily be a million miles away,
right? We could quickly do that against, because I don't want to spend too long on this, but I'll quickly do that. Let's go back a step then. Go back a step. And let's put Rafinha for Leeds. Let's put his last season in.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And then Jack Grealish. Last season, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Last season when he's actually
last season. Okay. So 22-23 is all right?
Yeah, 22-23. Yeah.
I'm going to clear everyone else out because I just want to see.
Do you want to put like Nico Williams in there? Might as well.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Nico Williams, fine.
What, Nico now?
Yeah, let's go with Nico Williams now.
Okay.
Because the thing is, with Nico now, I'm doing their full seasons of last season, so I might as well do Nico's full
season last season.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm doing those three, by the way. I'm not going to do any others.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Sorry if you guys had any other suggestions in the comments. All right, so let's just go straight to it. GA, Rafinha, GA 14 at Leeds. Jack Grealish 12. Nico Williams 10. Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah.
Expected goals, is that allowed? Are we allowed to do that? So yeah, he's the top of that. Expected goals.
I'd expect Grealish to be bottom because Grealish don't score goals, more of an assister, isn't he?
Yeah, that's fair. Progressive carries. Nico Williams beats Jack Grealish. Impressive.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now we're getting a better picture, and they almost like double what they do double. Nico Williams doubles what Rafinha does in terms of carries. In terms of progressive passing, I know Rafinha's that. Rafinha would do that. And
also, but on the flip side, Rafinha is nearly double on progressive passing of Nico Williams. So it's like, so you're getting something extra with Rafinha that you don't get with Nico Williams, and maybe that's what you need to replace Kulusevski.
In terms of controlling the ball,
progressive passes now, that is, isn't it? You're looking at now progressive passes. Nico Williams 321.
No, but what I was looking at,
progressive passes there. Progressive passes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so if you're looking at, I was looking at progressive passes received. So under pressure, when you're getting the ball under the pressure, how good is this player? And progressive passes received compared to passes that move balls towards the opponent goal line at least 10 yards from its furthest point in the last 6 passes, or any completed pass into the penalty area includes passes.
So it's a mix of taking pass under pressure and also your ability to maybe like break, be on the movement, that kind of thing. So how good is this player?
Nico Williams is 321.
Yeah.
Jack Grealish is 310.
Yeah.
Rafinha's 286. None of them are shabby.
All good. And also Rafinha's protection potentially can be the fact that as the highest progressive passer out of the 3 of these, maybe he's passing more than being the person that receives more because he's the dictator rather than the dictatee.
Yeah, I think so. Shots per 90, quickly, guys. Rafinha takes more shots than these guys. Like he outleads them. But as you said, Jose, Jack Grealish is more of the assister, more of the creator. Obviously, I looked at him a little bit different for Aston Villa because I remember that game when he just scored a bag full of goals. But that was like a one-off. But he's more of that creative type. But
he's changed. His role at Man City, he's changed to the role that he had at Villa.
Yeah, 100%. But I just thought I'd bring that up real quick, just to
that actually made me more excited for Rafinha when you went through that.
I don't know. I still like Nico.
That ain't really budgy. Sorry, I just seen the comments now. Sorry, Michael. I'll put it in.
Wow! Thank you, Michael.
Bargi. I just want to move away from it because otherwise we'll be here forever comparing players. But big up Michael in the chat, man, for putting that in. But either way, any of those players, if we got an Eze, for me, it's about availability as well. I think that's a factor. Eze, Neto, all of them have all been injured this season. Even Elise has been injured. And I do concede that point that Rafinha is a little bit more sturdy. A lot of people weren't really rating his appointment or his stint at Leeds because they thought, oh, he took a lot of free kicks, you know. But I remember him hitting the post quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? And having quite a few chances where he almost scored. So, I mean, that's what I would say to that for people saying, oh, a lot of those goals were free kicks, but he's not all that, blah, blah, blah. We need an out-and-out winger. I think we need goals. I think we need goals from the wing. So it takes pressure off of the front man. Supposing it's Son, we're not just relying on Son. We've got goals from your right. We've got goals from your left. We've got goals, a mixture of all even. Do you know what I mean? And I think Neto, if I'm going to be really nitpicking, I want Neto. But if I'm going to nitpick at Neto, I want him to score a lot more. Because he's got like 10 assists. But in terms of goals, I think he's only got like, I don't know, 3 goals or something
What about the little Georgian miracle from Napoli? Because I don't think he's
Kvaratskhelia is going to be.
I think he leaves. He leaves Napoli.
I think he's probably the best winger.
Do you think so?
I think
he's superb. He scores goals and everything. The boy. I
think he's a maverick. I think he's a genius.
Does everyone forgot about Mitoma now? Are we all over him now?
No, I haven't forgot about Mitoma, but Kvaratskhelia is a next level. He's a different level.
Different gear, different gravy.
Honestly.
And he'll leave Napoli this season because Napoli are really poor. They're not going to qualify for anything. They're not going to win nothing. I think he goes this season. I think he's gettable. Price-wise, I think he's gettable.
I think if you put down a serious bid for any player, they're gettable because the AC Milan player, Leao, has come out and said he wants to go to either the Premiership or
I think we could get. I actually think we could get Leao.
He said, like, I know PSG want him.
Why can't we get both?
He's not. No, I'm just saying, like, we're living in fantasy, by the way, people in the comment, because we know what type of club we are. So, do you know what I mean? We know what. But I would like to be surprised.
But the one thing, one thing I would say on that is,
Go on.
Lang did bring Diaby to Villa.
He did. I like that.
And Diaby to Villa was a big move for Villa.
But
so what I'm not saying it banged or anything. I'm just saying that was a big move for Villa. Yeah. So but he was able to get that player. And I'm saying that Lang, he's got something for us this window. I'm sure of it. Werner came under the radar.
Paratici's still cooking as well, mate. Don't worry, he's still helping out. And the Italian league, he's still helping out Paratici.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I've not given up on Illing Jr. and stuff like that. Like, I like Illing Jr. Like, I like him a lot. Like players like that. There's some.
No, but there's levels to this. There's levels to this. I don't.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. There's so many good players. How do you work out who's the?
But I want to move on anyway, guys. So we'll be here forever. I want to move on to Aston Villa, just to get your guys' thoughts whilst you're here, whilst I have you. And do you think Spurs can beat Aston Villa? And I'll start with you, Jose. What are your thoughts on this?
Right. So my thoughts on this are: Villa are playing against Ajax on Thursday, right, in Holland in the Conference League. I think Villa are going all out to win that Conference League. So I think they're going to stick out a strong side against them. So basically, we should have more rest. No, that's a good or bad thing. We should have more rest. However, what I do see is I don't see Aston Villa playing a mid to low block against us at home at Villa Park. And I think that could well play into our hands because then we can go toe to toe with them. Now, I know Watkins is on fire at the moment, but we have the blanket, as I call him, and that's Mickey van der Ven. And if anyone's quicker than Mickey van der Ven, I'm yet to see it. And I don't think there is anyone quicker than Van der Ven.
Do you think if Mickey van der Ven was playing in that home game, we would have won?
Yeah,
it would have been a different result.
Yeah. Because we didn't have Van der Ven, we didn't have Romero, we didn't have Maddison. Listen, we had loads of players missing for that Villa game.
I just thought we played some of our best football against Villa. I know it was a small spell, but considering the players we had out, I just thought at one point we were cooking. I thought this is Asball. I'm here for it because we were more direct. We're playing balls over the top. Imagine we had Brian Hill on the left, who's not that physical, and there was a ball that he put into Son. had Son like was better at headering, then that would have been a goal because he was just like an inch off, or he just missed it. And I was like, you know what? The relationship that Lo Celso, he's dropping into these pockets where I couldn't figure out who the 6 was, because he was doing what Maddison does, drops in the little pockets where he's kind of deep, doing balls over the top. And then Bentancur also was doing that. He was doing balls over the top, being a little bit more direct, because we knew they had a high line. The doggy was trying to get into the half space, and not only the doggy, it was also Kulusevski. Kulusevski actually had a few chances where I thought, oh my days, I can't believe Kulusevski missed that. Like,
Although, didn't Kulusevski have like a one-on-one in like the first minute?
Yeah, with the first 5 minutes, Kulusevski had a one-on-one, and I'm like, he's got to put that away.
Hold on, is that the way he hit the post? Is that the way he hit the post?
I can't remember if he hit the post
I feel like he hit the post.
Yeah, I think he did hit the post.
And I was like, you can't miss that. It was like, honestly, it was worse than the Werner miss.
So I think they're going to go out strong. Now, I'll be honest with you, Ash, and to Jay, I always say on my channels, and every time I talk, I say I don't care about the opposition, because everything should be what's within our gift, and it's up to us to do what we need to do and not rely on what the other team does or doesn't do or hasn't got. But if I'm going to be cheeky today, I will say that they have Clement Longley playing at centre back. The much vilified Clement Longley that we turned around and said he's no good in a free for us. He's too slow. Blah blah blah. Didn't suit Barcelona in a back four. He was too slow. Blah. Well, he's their number one centre half at the moment, because they've got injuries to Tyrone Mings and Diego Carlos. So they can only pick out of Konza, Longley, and Pau Torres, right? Yeah. Now, in the midfield, they've lost Boubacar Kamara, who I think has been absolutely brilliant all season. Boubacar Kamara. He's now gone out for injury, and Ramsey came off at the weekend, injured, right? So that means, okay, yeah, they've still got Douglas Luiz, who's played absolutely out of his skin this season, and they've still got Watkins, but their wide players, Diaby and Leon Bailey, they ain't been cooking this season. To me, at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it and thinking they're going to go all out to play against Ajax, and I think they'll stick a really strong team out because they want to win that competition. And then they're going to play us, and they won't play the mid to low block. So I'm really confident.
I mean, yeah, I'll throw it out to you, Jay, man. What is your thoughts on this one? What do you
I think with Villa, this is one of these games where it's like, okay, let's find out how good we are. I don't know if we're better than Villa. Yeah, the league, I genuinely don't know. Across the season so far, there's been times I've been like, we're better than these guys. And I've seen them go to a team that we might like go Sheffield United and smoke them. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Do you know what I mean? They put performances in the season where I'd be like, woo, you know, like they beat Arsenal. You know, let's you know what I mean? They put serious performances in.
And then West Ham went and buried them at Villa Park and put 4 or 5 past.
Exactly. So will the real Aston Villa show up, please? Like they're a good side, and we're battling with them to see who's the best of the rest, essentially outside the top 3. Yeah. I don't know. I think that you make great points about Van der Ven and him being able to contain Watkins. I felt they kind of did us kind of like how Wolves kind of did us, you know, in terms of like they had moments though. They grew into the game. This is the kind of game where you got to take your chances. You got to. We're not going to be on top for the whole game.
Son had 2 offside goals.
Exactly. We're gonna have a game where we're gonna have to take our moments, and we'll be under pressure at times in the game. But this is one where I've seen certain teams play Villa and, you know, put them in their place. And with the style of play that we have and how we do, we should be looking to put a marker down. We should be looking to go there and show them that we are a better side than them. And we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how close or far away we are from that, but that's what I want. That's what I'm expecting to see from the team this weekend.
Like for me, I respect Villa a lot. I know they're missing a lot of players. They've got like 8 or 9 injuries, but still, I still respect them because they've got a Douglas Luiz here as a defensive mid, acts like a box to box at times. They've got your McGinn, your John McGinn. I just think he can do it all. I'm not gonna lie to you. He can play wide. He can play in centre mid. He can do the dirty work. He's combative. He's got an eye for a pass, can shoot. Watkins, we all know what he can do against Luton. He was like lethal. I reckon Tillemans, when he came on, I'm putting him here in a false nine position. I felt like he was different.
Against us, yeah.
Yeah. I thought like against us, I thought he was the difference when he came on, and Bailey came on as well. Bailey pulled wide a lot more, and Tillemans kind of operated in the half space in this channel here, and that's when that ball was passed through from McGinn or maybe sometimes from Luiz. Tillemans was the man to thread that ball into your Watkins. Sometimes he played really close to him. Sometimes he was an extra body in midfield. And he's got a lot of intelligence, in my opinion, on where to be. And I think that's where what the difference was last time. When Tillemans came on, he changed it up. There was a flat back 4-4-2, and then he came in and he drifted into positions where we were finding it hard to pick him up. And he kind of played in between our defensive line and the midfield line. So again, Bailey's been on form. I think he's a.
I was going to say I think Bailey's been had a great season for him.
Superb season.
I think he's had a great season. He's outshined Diaby, which was surprising.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the difference between Villa and Spurs. I think the front 2/3 or 4 players, they've got more goals than us this season. Or goal threats anyway. I feel like they put teams to the sword when they need to. And DRB.
But doesn't that give you confidence then that Lang is going to know what a good dribbly winger in the Premier League looks like?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Long term for us outside of this game, I'm just focusing on this game in particular. I'm not too sure if DRB will start on the left.
No,
I haven't started both of them for a long time. For a long time.
They'll switch. They'll probably either play McGinn on the left or invert Bailey onto the other side.
I thought Zaniolo might come in because Zaniolo plays.
No.
He's been sub for every game for about the last 3 months now.
They've got a player called Rogers as well.
Rogers
came on.
What's more likely is you'll see. You'll basically see just Diaby out for Rodgers.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the only thing I would say. Rodgers was playing last time, and I think that's a huge loss to them missing out Ramsey. I think he's a good player, good box to box, an attacking threat. They're going to miss.
They've had injuries this season as well. Buendia too.
Yeah, they've had injuries. I know a lot of people are speaking about Cash at the moment. And I think Moreno may start ahead of their other fullback that scored.
Digne. So, Ash, just to tell you, the last team that they put out was Martinez. So the back 4 you've got there was the last back 4 they put out last weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
They played with Bailey, McGinn, Luiz, and Ramsey.
Yeah.
And they played Tillemans and Watkins. But Ramsey came off injured.
That's right.
After 29 minutes and was replaced by Morgan Rogers.
That's right.
So that might have been a Bailey fitness thing then potentially.
Possibly.
So you can make the argument that basically all you basically do is swap Diaby out for who was that midfielder you mentioned just then before?
So it was, but he's injured now, and that was
Ramsey.
Jacob Ramsey. But Morgan Rogers came in to replace him as a sub, and they actually swapped Leon Bailey with Diaby in the 79th minute. But Diaby and Bailey have not started a game together for a hell of a long time.
So I was going to look at our team, right? I was trying to give them like a little low block here. Because we're not a low block because they play a high line. So what am I doing? What am I talking about? Wrong team. But yeah, I expect them to be mid to high, I'd say.
I think they're gonna try and stamp their authority on us.
It's exactly
what they're gonna play high press against us, yeah?
I think they're gonna try it.
They're the home team. They're not going to play mid to low block. They're going to come out, and this
Not
is
low
what I
block,
say.
but mid block. I'm saying.
No, I reckon.
A mid block. I can. Jose, go on. Sorry, Jose. Sorry.
I think that they're going to play because they think they're because of their league position and their form. They're going to think they're superior. They're at home, and I think they're going to come out. I believe this is going to be an open game.
All right then. Let's put them all up.
But then again, on the flip side, I also then think Emery's a master tactician, and
Correct.
if he's been watching our game against Wolves, our game against, against Palace as well, then maybe he sets up how he set them up against Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said the mid block might be a thing. He might, because Longley's not got the pace.
Yeah.
He might drop them a few yards here, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Because why would you want to play a high line against?
Because if he plays a high line against us, that plays into Werner.
Oh, okay.
And it plays into Son because there's spaces in behind. Basuma, I wouldn't say Basuma so much, playing through balls, but definitely Maddison. Let's put Basuma on the left here. I'd say definitely Maddison's going to get on the ball.
It's interesting because if you play Johnson like that attack that you spoke of, we could kill them on the transition.
So you say to put Johnson on?
I'm saying Ange might think play Johnson in this game.
Get involved in the comments. I want to know your guys' thoughts as well. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we could take.
What would you guys do? What three would you play up top?
I'm putting Johnson in front of Kulusevski. I've said that already that I would do.
Let's do it. I mean, I would, like I said, the transition for me is key. Like holding on to the ball is key. But I mean, let's stick with it. Johnson, Son, Werner. He said speed kills. They're gonna hold their width. That allows your doggy at times to hit the half space. Now we're trusting Van der Ven's there. He's gonna trust him. But what I want to see sometimes is Werner come here and your doggy
go wider.
And go wider.
One thing I would add though is that Werner's not bad at ball retention. Do you know?
No. But I'm talking about the right hand side. I just thought Johnson, that this triangle here, I feel like sometimes we're gonna need.
They're gonna cough the ball up like COVID.
Yeah, we're gonna need that. We're gonna need Sarr as a fullback at times, and Porro will play centrally, and that will release Johnson. Maybe.
But if he plays Bailey on the left, then Sarr's athleticism could really help Porro.
I don't know. I don't see Bailey playing on the left. I see him staying out wide.
Because it allows McGinn to cut in on his left foot.
Right. Okay.
So
you're saying McGinn on the left, Louise on the right. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that basically they might drop Tillemans in, or they might drop another midfielder in, and then have McGinn play wide on the right.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And stiffen the midfield up. I feel like he played on the right of a 4-4-2 when they came to our stadium originally.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where what are they going to do with the extra man? Are they going to play Tielemans in a pivot? Or are they going to play him as the loose man? And if they don't play him in the pivot, McGinn has to play in the pivot. But then who's going to play out wide? So it's almost like then we're getting into the point of what you mean, like Zaniolo or Rodgers, or because it doesn't seem like he wants to play Bailey and Diaby. Mainly, it could be because of an option off the bench, POV, to say I want one of these guys who can make a big impact to be available to me off the bench. Zaniolo, I can't see starting this game. So that 11th player for Villa will tell us a lot about how they're going to look to set up against us.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm just going to do some arrows here. I think Maddison's going to drop deep. And, actually, let me put Porro deep as well. So I think Porro may drop deep at times to get on the ball, to facilitate these balls I was talking about over the top. So when you're looking for a Johnson, could we go direct? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maddison.
If Sarr drops in between Moreno and Bailey, then he's going to give Bailey Moreno that question of, do I go, do I stay, do I go, do I stay? And then allows just that indecision to, but you're absolutely right. Those arrows, there should be space for the players to run into. This is it. So I'm thinking if Maddison and Porro, or even Romero, let's get Romero on there, because sometimes
as was said before, Romero sometimes pushes a little bit high up, and he can. This is when we're like in their pitch, in their half, I'd say. So let's just rub this out a bit. Let's rub these arrows out.
Well, if we're in their half, then Romero's pushing even further up. You
Yeah,
find
this is what
Romero
I'm.
on the
This is what I'm
halfway
trying to
line.
get at.
You find him in the halfway line, or if not 10 yards inside their half when we're pushing up.
This is what I'm
Romero
getting
does
at.
really push. The person that doesn't push is Van der Ven.
Yeah, Van der Ven. I call it the stopper. I think Van der Ven's the stopper.
I call him the blanket because he covers everybody.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
He's
Yeah.
been the blanket for me all season.
I'm gonna steal that and pass it off as my own.
That's fine, Jay. You're more than welcome.
But no, it's a great point. And as a sweeper, as a stopper, sweeper, blanket type player, he's been great for us. And I guess that's what we're gonna need in this game. But in terms of like the field tilt and stuff like that in the last game, if we can get some more of that in this game, I'd feel a lot more confident. The further the ball is from our goal, the better.
Yeah. I'm saying Romero in this pocket here. Let's get Madison. Let's get Madison in there. Basuma, Van der Ven is going to be here, isn't he? So last line of defense. Porro sometimes might have to drop in when Romero is pushing up high and he's in the space.
Maybe it seems like Basuma won't be moving much in this game. He's gonna be quite disciplined, I think.
Yeah, I think I've seen that in that Palace display.
He's almost making it a 3 at times as well.
Yeah. So it was like a rest offense of a 3 sometimes. You're right. So sometimes Romero.
This definitely played a 6 role against Palace. Definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes, you see Romero pushing into the 6 role, and vice versa. Sometimes it may be Basuma there, but we're trying to win the ball high up the pitch. So if McGinn gets the ball, Basuma's onto him, trying to win that ball back, and then quickly find Sonny in that pocket of space.
It's funny because as you've laid this out, I can now see what their plan might be against us.
Oh yeah. Of course, because the space again will be here and behind. So the space. Oh, arrow.
And that's this. They've got 3 players there that can ping a ball in Louise, Tillemans, McGinn. And then obviously, Longley can ping a ball. Cash's distribution isn't bad.
Yeah.
It should be a good game, this.
If Derby and Bailey both play and both start, it plays more into our hands.
These are the spaces that obviously you're going to have Van der Ven sweeping up and Romero having to sweep up, because that's when we're vulnerable. At the same time, if they're playing high up, they're going to be vulnerable. So it goes both ways, guys. It's not even like a thing where you can say, if we've got the ball, we could be exposed. They could be exposed just as equally because we've got speedy players. Say again?
No, 100%. I don't really. I think we have a slight edge, but I think it's a very coin tossy game. I think it's very, very, very tight between the teams.
I mean, for me, like I look at the weaknesses being Longley and Moreno. I would target those 2 sides. If I'm being totally honest, and even Cash, Cash and sometimes.
Listen. If you play the 3 speedsters for Tottenham up front, that defense will not keep up with the 3 speedsters.
Yeah. No, I agree, man.
I just think there's optimism there, Ash. For me personally, I think with everything that's happening this week, I think there's optimism for us, because we are going to see like Jay said, we're going to find out exactly where we're at when we go toe to toe with someone like we did earlier on in the season. We were able to do that. Now that people have started playing in middle and low blocks, it's been more difficult. This game will be more open, and it's just, what are we going to do against them? Are we going to look at, because in the early parts of the season, when we went toe to toe with teams, we looked to play and to have the possession of the ball and that. So are we going to go and try and do that at Villa again? Are we going to go and try and get 60% of the ball, 65% of the ball? Are we going to try and do that? So
it's going to be a tactical battle between, the thing I worry about in this game is the ability to change. Where Angers do plan A and do plan A better, I feel like with Emery, he's able to see the game and change things in game. I'm not saying Ange doesn't do that, because there are times I have seen him when we're a little bit too narrow. He spaces everyone out a bit. He separates. He says, like, if you guys take 5 yards, you're a bit too close to each other, and then that kind of opens up pockets of space all around that. But going back to the sport, a point that Tottenham away made, he was like, we need to learn how to play under pressure where the space isn't always available. We need to play that pass into a player, even if they're not in a like an obvious space. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to sting it into a player and trust them, even if he's got a player on him. And then that's when we need to be brave, because like everyone's complaining about this horseshoe thing that we spoke about. And I know, I do admit, yeah, I agree with you. Man City do it as well. Obviously, the difference is they do it a bit better. But at the end of the day, if you keep doing it, it does wear teams out and gaps start to open, and that's how you get through it. That's how you beat a low block. This isn't a low block. This is a medium to high block that Emery is going to be deploying against us. But going back to the point I'm trying to make is, I just think when push comes to shove, Emery can change it on us. He can switch it. He can
definitely.
Tactical tweaks. I think with Ange, what he does, he looks at the profile of players, and this is the only reason why I wouldn't necessarily start Johnson, because I feel like it's a tactic when, you know, it's not going well. You can bring on your speedsters and open up the game. All right, cool. You figured us out. Kulu can't beat his man or whatever. I'm gonna bring on a Johnson to switch it up, and that's a tactic within itself. It's a different profile or winger that he's bringing on. So. That's my only caveat, you know, against you know, it's not as straightforward as we think, as we've seen.
No, I'll never fail to see how people on Twitter make all of these decisions seem so simplistic and easy and just black and white and no shades of gray. And you're absolutely right. I think that there's a lot of merits to starting Johnson. There's a lot of merits that you made to starting Kulusevski. Composition in midfield is going to be important. How we play on the counter, how we play on the break, how we play in transit. There's just so many aspects to this game against a good to very good Villa side. There's no shame in losing to this Villa side. There isn't. They're a good side. But we're going to find out how far we are along in our process when we go there this weekend. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater if we lose, but there's a way you lose. If we batter them all game and they shithouse like a 94th minute, cool. I think it's important that we lay a marker down on who we are as a side, and like I said, you know, a lot of this comes down to the players' perception of how good they are, the fans' perception of how good we think the players are. Players have got to prove it. If we're out here saying this guy's the best in the league, and this guy's one of the best in the league, and this guy's one of the best in the league, it's time for them to show it.
It comes down to consistency. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
And the thing about it is we do chop and change, and it's not our fault, but it would be nice to have a set midfield for a prolonged time where these players could have a rhythm where they're used to seeing each other in particular spaces. They're kind of getting used to the patterns of play, and they're all getting familiarized with the system together, if that makes sense. And I am one for, like, you know, at times, if a player is not on form, swapping them out. And if for whatever reason, you know, that player, you know, so certain games, you need to have this style of player, you know, a high line, you might need, like you said, Jose, a fast winger. Do you know what I mean? Because you want to exploit the space in behind. Sometimes you might need a winger that kind of, so like horses for courses is what I'm trying to say, basically. So I don't mind, but I would like to see some consistency going forward, so the team can get some type of they can gel a bit more, they can click a little bit more in the business end of the season. But guys, do you have any final thoughts before I end the show? I wrap it up.
You know what? I was gonna say it's been I think we've covered almost. I don't feel like I've got any other. I mean, I could make points, but I don't think they'd be very pertinent to the discussion that we've had. So I'm pretty good. I might piggyback off a Jose point if he drops some knowledge on us, but I'm done.
Cool.
No, I think we've covered absolutely everything as well. We've covered everything. I think we've covered everything you wanted to cover and more, Ash, because I think some of the stuff we went into other areas and spoke about other things as well. So I pretty much think we have covered absolutely everything. I'm optimistic about Sunday. That's all I'm going to say. I am really optimistic. I'm looking forward to the match.
Score prediction, real quick. Hello?
Well, without the presser. Without knowing the press. See, I normally do my predictions after I've heard all the pressers.
Fair enough.
But for now, I'm going to give you one for now.
All right, cool.
Aston Villa 0, Tottenham 2.
Jeez, you said it like the CFAX. Aston Villa.
I'm confident. I'm confident.
Who's scoring?
I don't care. I just want 2 goals and a clean sheet. If you're putting it on me, I'm going to say it's either Sonny gets 2 or Sonny and Werner.
People in the comments, I know Stay Humbles reckons 4-2. What's everyone saying? Mr. M, what's your predictions? Hotspur, Bobby K, Adrian, David, like what are your score predictions? I want to see it, man.
I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs.
I think
second half FD again, or was it first half?
No, Sonny's gonna back, and maybe Brennan again. Maybe Brennan. It's not. I was close to going 2-2, but you guys have given me a bit more confidence. I've not. It's funny. I've not backed where every week I have to predict a Spurs win. We should be topped by 10 points at this point. Yeah. I think Jose's right. Let me wait for the presser. Let me see if Poro's fit. Let me see what we got going on. Exactly. Stay humble. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to disrespect Villa. You know, they're a good side, and I don't.
Good side.
Villa is not. I really think some of the fan base is underestimating how difficult this trip should really be. So I'm leaning 2-1, but I won't be surprised with 2-2.
What do you reckon, Ash? Because you're asking us, mate.
Mm-hmm.
It's my show. Do what I want. I'm joking. I asked the question. I don't know. I'm joking.
My show.
There's
a lot of scores being put in the chat.
Yeah. Put them
and
up.
Every single one has a Tottenham victory.
I mean, this is a Tottenham show, so you know. I mean, if I went on a Villa show, it might be slightly different. We've got Adrian saying 3-1, Son 2, Kulu 1. He's backing Kulu all the way. David saying 3-1 Spurs, Werner, Son, and Maddison. Because you know what? Maddison does his thing away, you know. I know he scored. No, he did assist a home game. But
isn't Leicester and Villa, aren't they kind of Midlandsy rivalsy kind of thing in a way?
Yeah.
Broadly.
It's all up in the same area.
Yeah. All right. He needs a goal. He needs a goal as well.
Hey, Mr. Emrickens, Werner Hattie. I think everyone scores ahead from a corner. That's 4. All right.
Yeah, he's gone 4-3 to Spurs, Mr. M.
4-3 for Spurs. Okay, cool. My prediction, I have to agree with Jay. I think they will score. I don't know how much. I think we'll lose 2-1, you know. I think we'll lose 2-1, but it won't be the end of the world if we lose 2-1. I still think we'll do bits. Nah, I can't predict a loss, man. Come on, man. You see your faces? Like, what the hell's going on? You fraud! No. We will get the job done. We'll put them to the. Actually, yeah, we'll put them to the sword. 2-1. 2-1. I'm gonna stick with the 2-1. If we win 2-1,
you can visualize that 2-2 though, can't you?
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I was like, oh, it came up to me real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to be easy, guys. It's not going to be easy. But as I said before, they have a lot of injuries. Longley in defense. That is key. Remember, I said that. Longley.
Regardless whether they play Longley or Pau Torres, they're both slow.
We just need to get at them. We need to get at them. We
forget how much we put them to the sword in that first half at our stadium. If it wasn't for that last minute free kick, we would have come out second half and smashed them up again. I'm sure.
You know what? You know what's funny? I was listening to a few Villa pods, and they were saying, "Oh, they completely outplayed us. We did not." I listened to about 3 different Villa pods. They were like, "We did not deserve to win," and that's why we're happy, because sometimes you gotta win ugly. They get it. Win ugly. I don't think we get it. But that's a different show for another time.
They're confident though. I think we need a win just as much to put. We need it as fans. That fan base is getting real confident.
Yeah, because they're winning pretty. That's why they're winning in style. And they appreciate the ugly ones as well.
You know who they remind me of?
Who?
They remind me of us under Conte when we finished 4th.
Oh, when we finished 4th, I was like, nah. They're outscoring the Conte.
Oh, do you forget how we were scoring?
Well, we were scoring. I remember Norwich, we battered.
Yeah, do you not remember, like, did we not go to, like, we played Newcastle, smashed
Newcastle, we smashed
we were playing some nice football.
Yeah, we did. We did play some nice football on the Conte. If you forget, we did actually play some ball. But yeah, guys, big up to the people in the comments. The regulars, I respect you. I love you. You make the show what it is. I'm not just saying that, man, because sometimes I run out of topics, but you guys keep going. Big you guys up, man. Just a quick plug before you, man, go. So, Jose, where can we find you? What do you have coming up next?
You can find me at El Tol Cockerel. I've got a show. When am I lining up? Tomorrow is Wednesday. So tomorrow I've got a show at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I've got a mop-up show on Thursday at 10 o'clock in the evening. It's my usual mop-up show where people just ask me anything. And then I'll be doing a joint dual stream watch-along on Sunday for the game. Also, I'll be on Talk and Ball on Thursday at 4 o'clock. And also doing the Talk and Ball dual show for the predictions that we do on Friday. On Friday, we do a prediction show, which quite a few of your people that are here already join us for the predictions. But thank you, Ash, to you and Marlon for having me on today. It's been a pleasure. And to meet Tobes and to see Jay again, because I saw Jay ages ago on Alan's. It's been a long time ago.
It's been a hot second. Like,
it's been a long time ago.
It was a pleasure to share a mic.
But it's nice to see different people that instead of hearing the same usual views from the same people.
I can't take it, bro. I'll lose my mind.
But this was good. I enjoyed it. There's different people.
No, it was great. I thought there was some really good points, some great analysis. Ash always is great with the chop up. As a transition, you can find me at JRated. I'm officially starting a podcast next week called the Team Sheet Pod. You can follow us at Team Sheet HQ on Twitter, and I will be obviously supporting on here. You can find me on a couple of other places, but like mainly here talking Spursy, toxic positivity, logical.
I love it.
We know the drill. Yeah.
I love it. Just to finish up, guys, just anyone in the comments or chat still watching this, guys, or people back at home. As I said at the start of the show, I'm gonna be on Last Word on Spurs tomorrow. What's going on? He said, Jose,
we're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna be on Last Word on Spurs at 8:30, guys. So if you can tune in, but if you get bored of me on Last Word on Spurs for whatever reason, we have a rival show where we get other clubs to come in. And they just give their opinions about what they think about Spurs. It's not that friendly. It's really heads. It gets a bit spicy, but more or less, it's more football talk. It's a bit of banter, it's a bit of fun. Something to mix up the channel, you know. Not always about Spurs, not everyday Spurs, you know. But we will talk about Spurs in the show. So it's not all Arsenal, Liverpool, etc. Yeah, but guys, big yourselves up. Love every time. Please make sure you like, you share, subscribe. I'm really terrible at doing this. The reason why I need you to like is so other people that have never seen the show, they get to see it. That's why I need you to like it and share it to your loved ones or people that like Spurs, just to help the channel grow. And also put the notification bells on as well. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And again, big up to everyone in the chat. Big up Mr. M. Big up yourself each and every time. Love people. I'm going to end it here. If I don't end it here, I'll never leave, bro. I'll never leave. Girl them, man them, all of them. And come on, you Spurs. Come on, you